like to dive into some of the community things, but before doing that, I also want to go back to when you first learned about, well, free software at the time. So it was around college, right? When you mentioned that you started to explore the tools and the ecosystem first.
I was immersed in it, and it was in at my aware as at an awareness level. I had no idea what it was from a freedom perspective or licensing or otherwise. Yes, you'd find tarballs of software you could do stuff with, but I wasn't into that. For me, it was pre-web internet. That was a fascinating part to see the internet back when it was Telnet, FTP, in theory, Gopher and Veronica and such. But I think it helped me understand all things future internet back then because, like the Unix being behind the scenes, the plumbing of the computer, I saw the plumbing of the network purely in a text-based environment. Related, I was fascinated um, that there were hundreds of users on the central school Sun system, which is an old Sun 350 or something, and the CS professor said that is more powerful than or less powerful than any system you have in your dorm room. And I was like, how do all these users work so well simultaneously reading mail in the console? Pine was awesome back then. Nano as an editor and FTP and all of that happening in what's now smaller in resources than a Raspberry Pi or even your phone, especially your phone. And I couldn't have that concurrency or reliability on my desktop. It's like, well, that was fascinating. I won't say it made no sense, but it was an eye opener. It was only around 2007 when I was visiting Portland, went to OSCON, and naturally I was using open source quite actively. But from a community perspective, I dropped in on the Floss Foundations meeting hosted by Allison Randall and Dave Neary and others, Josh Burkus, you name it. And I will say my mind was blown. They were discussing the topics surrounding foundations at a level that I couldn't even imagine possible, be it the licensing, be it the governance models, be it governance in general, be it codes of conduct, things that users, contributors maybe have an intuitive sense of, but they were making a science of. And just almost naively, I thought, oh, let me just take an afternoon to make a list of FLOSS foundations, free Libre open source software foundations. And we were all surprised. There was 70 or something at the time that were obvious, just with a quick search. Oh, Apache Foundation. Oh, da, da, da. No one had made a list. The whole community was not yet at that sort of level of self-reflection. So I just handed over to the group. Here's a list. Enjoy. That's what I found, and we were all a little shocked. Um, and OSI has played its role in various aspects, from licensing, etc. And that often merger of open source and public benefit foundations absolutely fascinated me because, as we've learned from, I don't know what our policy here is on naming and shaming or otherwise, but as I see it, production users produced CentOS and vendors took it away. And you need I'd argue, and I have that as an example, you need a public benefit nonprofit holding the keys to the kingdom to prevent that kind of rug pull out from under users. And that was a very dramatic rug pull. And I wouldn't wish that upon anyone who's just trying to do a job. If you make widgets, you don't want your infrastructure to go away on you, thank you very much, or be frozen at that point in time and then replaced with new system, whatever painful exit you have. So '07 through '09, I pretty much dedicated my life to Linux Fund, BSD Fund, raising money, and I flat out had a money machine for projects at not like taking a percentage. The foundation would just make it happen. and the 2008 financial crisis pretty much wrapped up every philanthropy budget in corporate America and around the world in an instant. There was a little recruiting money left, but it just screeched to a halt, and that is that was very educational, but also very frustrating because I was just getting started. So those were very good times, very educational, but uh, I had never anticipated the amount of kind of massive shift that can take place, be it fads with AI and crypto and this and that, and some of the fundamentals never changing. And few, marketers really don't want to talk about boring fundamentals. They just don't. It's not exciting, but that's where my mind goes. So there's a little about that.